Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to see you all here. I probably met most of you, or you have met me in the lab classes. If you're in the Monday lab class, we probably haven't met yet. So welcome to E315 lectures. I am Hiren Trada. I'm your professor, lecturer, instructor for lectures as well as the labs. I like it when that happens. This is actually the first time where I have the entire sequence, meaning all the sections of the lectures and all the sections of the labs, because it provides built-in flexibility that I can pass on to the students. All right, so let me talk first about how the class is set up and what the student learning experience is like. So we'll go to syllabus, actually not here. Let's see. All right, 315. And let's see. All right, course information. So this course is structured with UDL principles. UDL, if you're not familiar, stands for Universal Design for Learning, means using a wide range of variety of tools and technology and the course structure to benefit a wide variety of learning styles. Okay, so the way I work here is I have this writing device. I have this writing tablet. It's extended with the classroom computer. Whatever I see here, you see here on the projector. In addition to that, obviously anything I annotate or write on here is also visible to you here. In addition to that, I log on to Zoom, and this screen, whatever you're seeing here, is shared on Zoom. Okay, so if you wish to attend online, that is an option. So the Zoom meetings, again, from the left pane, is the exact same meeting for all of my lecture classes. This is a reminder. Okay, so every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's a reminder. It's the same meeting, can be started anytime, and students can log on anytime they want. The only thing that is shared is basically the screen. No other personal information is shared. Okay, so if you're logging in online, your names or your faces, nothing is recorded or saved. The only thing is saved is this and the sound of my voice. That's all. So attendance-wise, you have three options. Actually, you have four options. The first option is you attend in person. Second option is you attend online. Third option is you watch the recorded lecture videos. Basically, everything that I'm sharing on Zoom is recorded, and then I post it on YouTube on a channel. So those are the three options. The fourth option is you do none of those three things, but you keep up with the assignments and the work. The grade does not suffer. So that's four options. Okay. Come in person, attend online, don't attend, just watch the recorded lecture videos later at your own time, or do none of those, but just submit your assignments and your work, and you'll be fine. Okay. You are all adults. I will treat you as adults. You are in charge of your learning. You pick the modality that works the best for you. You do not have to tell me, hey, today I'm not feeling well, so I'm not going to attend class. I'm just attend online. It's available to all students. You do not have to clear anything with me. I do not mandate attendance, and I do not take attendance, not for my lecture classes. Lab classes is different. Okay, lecture classes, I do not take attendance, and I do not mandate attendance. The only time I will check for attendance is on the days of assessments, meaning if you have a quiz in class, it's live, it's proctored, then you must be present either in the classroom or on Zoom. Okay, otherwise, you would not be able to take that assessment. Right. So attendance policy, is that clear to everyone? Okay. So again, flexibility in attendance, attend, don't attend, it's fine. It's not going to bother me. Second, doors to my classroom are always open. You can walk in and out anytime you want. If you're feeling sleepy, you can go to the last row, the second last row, find an empty spot, take a nap. It's not going to bother me. Seriously, I know it's like 2 o'clock. If you had a lunch or something, woke up early and you feel sleepy, go ahead and take a nap. It doesn't bother me at all. You can catch up with the lecture recorded video later. Again, you know what's best for you, right? So do that. walk in and out. If you want to stretch your legs, want to go use the restroom, want to get a sip of water, that's fine. All right, so that's the second thing. Continuing on with that, food and drink are typically not permitted in any of the lab rooms or any of the lecture rooms and the lab rooms. Lab rooms is quite obvious. We have expensive equipment in there, and food and drink and equipment do not mix, especially electric equipment does not. Okay, water drops on a piece of equipment, that's $4,000 gone. Water damage can never be repaired. You have to throw it out. Okay. Lecture rooms with carpet, like the one that we are in, this is newly laid carpet. Okay. So we have strict instructions from facilities not to let students enter with food and drink. Okay. So the only exception I will make is something with a hard cap, something like this, okay, that cannot spill or crack open. So if you have a hard water bottle with a hard cap lid, screw-on lid, that is fine. If you have like a like a to-go cup or something with like coffee or soft drink, leave that outside the room. Again, you can walk anytime you want, open up, open, take a sip of drink and come back. Food, mushy food, not permitted. If it's dry and doesn't make too much noise, that's fine. No cake, donuts, or chocolate, not unless you're bringing me some. As you know, I have a big sweet tooth. And then let's see, Zoom, in-person, online, class notebook. Okay. So I use Microsoft OneNote software for both lectures and labs. The way I use it for lectures is that I will have it open here. The slides are already loaded for today's class, for the first class. The 10 slides are already loaded. And it syncs in real time. So if a student has logged on to the class notebook, whatever I have at my end is already available to the students at their end. Okay. I will write and annotate as we go along. You'll be able to see it in class. You'll be able to see it online on Zoom. You'll be able to see it in the recorded video. And again, you will have those synced and available to you in real time. As soon as I start typing right here, within a few seconds, it should show up at your end. The point being that, or the advantage being that students are free to follow along with the talk and not have to get caught up with taking notes all the time. All right, so that's the modality. Any questions so far? Okay. Attendance, participation, and late work. As I said, you don't have to worry about attendance, participation. Okay, I'm not going to go through every single sentence and every single word. I'm going over the main important points. So it is your responsibility, again, to read through everything, make sure you're not missing out on something, okay? Late homework is accepted, but let me talk about that right now. Course information and textbook. So textbook for this is Principles and Applications of Electrical Engineering, 7th edition by Rizzoni and Kearns. It's Rizzoni. It's specifically written for non-EE majors, and CPEs are non-EE majors. You are looking at it from a non-EE major perspective and applying it to systems and system applications, okay? So as part of the built-in course, what I do is I use the online Connect system, which from the student's perspective, requires a purchase through PolyAccess program, okay? The bookstore package was $120. I negotiated with McGraw-Hill, and after several weeks of negotiations, they brought it down to like 60. So the PolyAccess program is automatically added to the student account as part of like your tuition fees, and then well, it's paid from your student account. Now, I understand it's an additional financial burden, and I wish that wasn't the case. Okay, I wish it was already included in the tuition. But what universities everywhere, not just the CSU, not just Cal Poly, not just California, universities everywhere want to tout that they are low cost. So they cut out as much as they can, and they just provide like one single number and say, okay, this is a very low, we are not charging a lot of students. But I will tell you, no matter which state you go to, no matter which university you go to, if it's a state institution, the state institution, I mean, the state taxpayers are funding the educational institutions. So budgets being cut over the years, You now have a 300, almost a $400 million cut coming up for this next year. Okay. And they still want to tout it as, we are low cost. And for every student that attends Cal Poly, the university and the system actually loses money. Nobody talks about this. Anyway, the long and short of this is that I wish it was part of the tuition fees, but we keep it low to advertise it as a low cost university. And then without this purchase, it's not possible to offer a similarly structured learning environment. What the publishers are able to do is to hire an entire IT department to maintain these systems. This is not something that is easily replicated. Okay. Not even if I sit and devote like more than a year to doing this. There are no features, no system that we can do this. So the purchase is required of every student. It's automatically added to the student account. If you have any questions or concerns about this, please see me after class or send me an email, even better, right? Communicate with me via email, and then we'll see what happens. Yes. Okay, so if you did you purchase it from the bookstore? Okay, did it come with a code? Yes. So the question being asked is, if I purchased the book previously, can I use it? The answer is, if the book package, if you purchased it previously, had a code with it, it might be possible to transfer that code to this class. But if it never came with a code, then it's not possible. Okay. Yes. Oh, yes. The code gives access to the online active homework system. So I do not keep homework at 10% or 5%. Okay, most professors would keep it at 10 or 15%. That's not what I do. I set it up so that students benefit the most. So I ensure that students get their money's worth. Okay, to that end, homework is worth 35% of your overall grade. And let's open it up to assignments and grading. So, okay, homework is split into 3 parts. There's the homework, there's the quizzes, and then there's the final exam. There are no midterms in my classes. Okay. The only thing I assess is weekly quizzes every single Monday. I target on average about 8 quizzes per quarter, anywhere between 7 and 9. And those are equivalent to at least 2 midterms, if not more. Okay, 2 midterms are about 100 minutes for the entire quarter, and 8 quizzes are likely to exceed those 100 minutes. But overwhelming feedback from past several years, students always prefer to have bite-sized chunks for every single week. Okay, so let's talk about homework first. So homework is split into further 2 parts: 25% for the online homework system, Connect assignments, and then 10% is your physical work. The assumption being that if you are sitting down to do homework, you'll be doing some work using your pen and paper, or pencil and paper, or maybe a writing tablet. Doesn't matter what you do, but you'd be writing or doing your work somewhere. So that's the assumption. So you would take a scan or a PDF of that work, and you're going to upload it here. In assignments, there's a link, but that's 10% of your overall grade. So just for uploading your work is 10%. The online system, and there are a few features in here that I cannot easily replicate, is set up for unlimited attempts, meaning you sit down, you take a problem, you work on a solution, you enter your answer, it turns out to be incorrect. The system will tell you what you did wrong, or it'll mark you incorrect. It'll tell you that you might need to change a few things. So you take another attempt at it. Maybe it's still incorrect, do a third, fourth, fifth, as many times as you want, unlimited attempts until you obtain 100%. The system is set up for mastering, grading for mastery, grading for learning. It's not grading for penalty. Okay. There is no reason why any student should receive less than 35% in homework. Okay. There are unlimited attempts, and which is available to every student. And again, you can take unlimited attempts until you reach 100%. Yes. Limited. No, so that's incorrect. So I'll make a change for that. So the point being made or noted was that the Canvas says that it's a 3% deduction. That's probably a leftover from like many years ago. I need to fix that. So there is no deduction. The only deduction is in due date. Okay, so there is a due date for every single homework. Again, that is to keep everyone on track. Okay, so if there's a due date, which would be like, if I assign a homework, there'll be at least 2 or 3 days to submit that homework. So if you submit it by the due date, you earn 100%, you get to keep 100%. If you submit it 1 day after that, there's a 5% deduction for every day that you're late. Okay, that extension is already built in. You do not need to send me an email for an extension. Okay, if you submit late, that is fine. There's a small penalty of 5%, meaning if you ended up earning like 100% of their homework, you would receive 95. Okay, but homework will always stay open. It will never close. So again, built-in extensions. You don't need to send me an email regarding an extension. Unlimited attempts until you reach 100%. Any questions about the setup? Any other questions about the setup? Okay. All right, let's move on to quizzes. There are 2 kinds of quizzes. The majority of the grades are assigned to Monday quizzes. Those Monday quizzes are worth 35% of your overall grade. Okay, 35. It's 8 quizzes. They are not rated individually. They're all summed up together. Okay. All quizzes are open book, open notes, open internet. You can use your laptop, you can use your smartphone, you can use your tablet. Just do not dial a friend. Okay. All the resources are available to you. Show me your best work. Okay. So again, open book, open notes, open internet. Use whatever resource you need to show me your best work. And that is worth 35% of your overall grade. It varies. The question being asked is the duration of the quizzes. Some quizzes might be 15 minutes, some might be 20 minutes. Occasionally I have, if it's a big topic, then it's like 25, but typically between 15 and 20. And that if you have 8 quizzes about 15 minutes or 20 minutes averaging out, that's more than 100 minutes, meaning more than 2 midterms. Okay. So quizzes are worth 35%. And then there are quizzes on Friday or alternate Fridays. And these are not proctored. Okay, these you will take on Connect. It'll be time limited, unlike the homework, and there'll be a due date. So there will not be multiple attempts or unlimited attempts. They'll open on a Friday. You could submit on a Saturday, but there'll be a deduction of 10 or 15 or 20%. I'll have to check and see what I said. I think I set it to like 15 or 20. So those are worth 5% of your overall grade. Again, non-proctored, live, honor system. Again, open book, open notes, open internet, whatever you need, show me your best work. Excuse me. So remember, I made the point earlier. I do not take attendance except on days of assessment. So taking the quiz online is an option. Like Monday quizzes, taking the Monday quizzes online is an option. The requirement is that if you are taking it online, you must log onto Zoom with your cameras on. Okay. Please read through every sentence or every word of this page. Okay. If you are taking it online, there are some rules. You need to have your cameras on. If your camera is off, then your work will not be graded. And that's it. As simple as that. So again, you can be in person, you can be online on Zoom, but you must log on to Zoom and have your cameras on. That is the only time I will take attendance. And that's it. Then after the quiz is over, you can turn your cameras off, you can log off Zoom, go to whatever you want. But the proctored quizzes every single Monday, I will take attendance. Yes. Okay, so the question being asked is, what is the submission procedure and how can we access the questions? Good question. If we go to the front page is, there's a link for quizzes right there. And then if you go there, there are quiz questions and student submissions. So they will be set on Canvas. You can, if you're taking it online, you can have it open on your laptop. I will also show or display the questions in the classroom. So it'll be shared on Zoom. You will also be able to see in the projector. You will also be able to see it in Canvas at your end. Submission links will show up in your assignments list, or you can access it directly from here. Okay, student submissions. So right now, nothing is published. Obviously, when we have a quiz, that's when it'll become available. Until then, it'll be locked. Continuing on with that, if you are attending, if you are in 02, some days if you want to leave early, you want to attend section 01, you can just walk in the classroom or log on to Zoom. It's absolutely fine. You do not need to let me know or ask for my permission. Okay. If you want to get your Friday started early and you just want to attend the 1 o'clock section, that is fine. Both sections will be in sync. I will not go ahead or behind in either section. You do not have to let me know, except again on the days of the quiz. On the days of the quiz, if you are attending an alternate section, then you do need to let me know. Otherwise, your submission link will be locked. Okay, it will not open up. So again, keep that in mind, right? Was there another question somewhere? Okay. So that's for assignments and grading. The final exam page is already available right here. Please read everything on this page. Final exam is mandatory. It's not optional. Mandatory means it's part of your grade. I do not drop any quizzes. I do not drop the final exam. If a student wishes, they can skip the final exam, which is fine. It's worth up to 25%. The course is structured in a way that student must keep up with the work. You cannot get a good grade without doing the homework. You cannot get a good grade without doing the quizzes. You cannot get an A without doing the final exam. Okay. Conversely, one bad assignment or one lower score on a quiz is not going to adversely affect your overall grade. If a student has done well enough throughout the entire quarter, on the final exam, they earn just a 50%. That is not going to sink their grade down to a C or a D. Okay, it'll still be possible to get very close to an A. And I will talk about that extra credit in just a minute. So final exams are all in person. There's no Zoom option. However, the final exam is also open book, open notes. Internet use is restricted only to course material. Okay, only to recorded videos, online homework, online quizzes, tuitions, class notes, etc. Typically for final exams, I would sit in the back and I will monitor or proctor the students' screens. So again, open book, open notes, open internet, well, not fully open internet. Internet use is restricted only to course material. Yes. Quizzes, you can access anything except dial a friend. All right, so we are section 02. Our exam, according to the Cal Poly schedule, is on a Wednesday from 1 to 4. The first time I've had lectures from 1 to 4, so all my exams are also 1 to 4. So I like that. You have 4 options when it comes to taking the final exam. You can take it at your regularly scheduled time, which is on a Wednesday. You can take it on a Friday with the other section. If you want to get your summer started early, you can take it with my other class, which is 113 on a Monday. Right there. It's right here in this classroom. Okay, so you can take it on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. If you want to get your summer started even earlier than that, then there is an exam on a Saturday before finals week. All times are 1 through 4. The Saturday final is not in this building. It's in building 20. Okay, so you have 4 options. Taking the exam earlier or later is not going to give you a competitive advantage or put you at a disadvantage. Okay, exams are the similar level of complexity. Problems will be very similar, be different, but similar. Okay. You pick and choose what you'd like to do. Spring quarter, I guess students have internships to start, maybe summer vacation plans. So again, you can pick and choose which one you want. And is you let me know in this survey form right there. This is an anonymous survey. Oh, actually not anonymous, sorry. You have to have your first name, last name. Obviously, I need to know who wants to come at an alternate time. If you are attending at your regular scheduled time, which is a Wednesday, you do not need to submit anything. Okay, then ignore the submission form. You only submit this if you wish for an alternative time. Okay, if you're taking it on a Saturday, you do not need to provide any explanation. Okay, however, on the other days, which is Monday and Friday, the requests are based on the seats that are available in the classroom. In the years past, I've never had any issues accommodating everyone who wanted an alternate time. Even last quarter, I was teaching in 125, and like 40, 41 students show up on one day, and we were fine. We were able to. It was within the fire code. Okay, so we cannot exceed the fire code. If there are 2 doors in a classroom, I believe the fire code permits up to like 50 students or something. I'm not too certain on that. And I believe we have more than 40 seats, or at least 40 seats in here, so it's fine. Typically, I would have about 5 to 7 students who would take the exam on a Saturday from every class, and that would conversely open up 5 to 7 seats on their regular scheduled time, right? So again, your exam is on a Wednesday. You have the option of taking it on a Monday or a Friday or the Saturday before finals week. Yes. So the question being asked is, when do we need to fill this out? The answer is from now until the last day of class. All right, so that was that. This class notebook, student hours. I think you're familiar with this from the lab, but it's on there. Communication policy, email, Canvas messaging, either one. Building 20, room 117, that is where I am. This is my schedule. It's packed towards the front end of the week. I'm here every day of the week from Monday through Friday. Typically, I'm here from 8 to 4 every single day. Some days I'm here till 5. This depends how much work I need to get done. Official student hours are Tuesday afternoons and Friday mornings. And then Thursdays also I'm available. The section's highlighted in olive green. I might be in my office, might be in a different lab. Just send me an email or knock on my door, and I can spare a few minutes to answer your questions. Okay. So again, read through this page, read through everything in the syllabus. That's all I would say. 8, physics, honesty. All right, assignments and grading. All right, so let's talk about extra credit. So the Connect system comes with an ebook. There's a reading portion to it. So I'll assign reading assignments either before class or after class, depending on the topic. And the system automatically generates some questions for the student to answer. This is to enhance the student's learning. Again, there's unlimited attempts. You do it as many times as you want until you get it right. The reading assignments are open all the way from the date of the assignment opening all the way to the end of the class. I mean, end of the quarter. Okay. And all of those assignments are total for a total of 2% points of overall credit applied directly to your overall grade. So if you end up with an 88, you could be bumped up to 90. If you end up with a 91, you could be bumped up to 93. Okay, so that's 2%. 2 points applied directly to your overall grade. Again, there is no reason why any student should not be learning and earning points at the same time. Okay, again, reading assignments are there for your benefit. So please make sure that you keep up with it. There is no due date for the assignments. Okay, once it is assigned, let's say we are doing diodes next week in week 2, there might be a reading assignment about diodes. It'll be open. You can do it in week 2, but you could also do it in week 8. Okay, again, you are adults. You are in charge of your learning. You do what you know best. Okay, but it's already available to all students. And then there's a further 3 points of extra credit. Those are instructor evaluations. So there are official Cal Poly end of the quarter evaluations. that form part of our official employee file. Okay, it's part of our permanent record as an employee. It doesn't go anywhere. So maybe other faculty might have told you or not, but I let all of my students know this goes. It's looked upon very seriously. Everybody reviews this. The instructor reviews it. Department committee, peer review committee reviews it. The chair of the department reviews it. It goes all the way up to the dean of the college. Everybody signs off on it. Okay, and we do this every single year in January. Okay, every single year we do this. It's part of our employee file. Okay, so the evaluations are done every quarter by the students. Okay, but the review of the employee happens every January, where the entire year's worth of evaluations are then reviewed upon. Okay, so it's very important to us. I especially like receiving feedback from the students, and these are completely anonymous, right? Completely anonymous. The only thing we see at our end is basically the number of responses. There are 36 students in the class. All we see are 18 of 36 students have submitted a response. That's all we see. We don't see anything else. Okay. It's a little bit of extra work. So I like to provide extra credit, a little bit of extra credit in the amount of 1 extra point in proportion to the response rate. So let's say 18 of 36 students submit a response. That's a 50% response rate. Every student in the class receives 0.5 points of extra credit applied directly to their overall grade. Okay, so whether a student submits or not, whether the student participates or not, they still receive the benefit of the extra credit. Okay, again, I mean, if you're at 90, you get 90.5. If all 36 students submit, it's 100% response rate. You get 1 full point applied to your overall grade. Okay, so if you are late with the homework 1 or 2 weeks, if you miss out on some points in the quizzes, there are extra credit reading assignments. There's extra credit at the end of the quarter. There's also extra credit every week that you can submit. The more students who participate, the better it is for everyone. But this happens at the end of the quarter. Okay, we do not receive these evaluations until the beginning of the next quarter. So the winter evaluations, we did not receive. So winter evaluations were done in the last week of classes. We had the finals week, then we had the spring break. We did not receive these until the beginning of this quarter, I believe like Monday or Tuesday. Okay, so we do not get it until like 2 weeks after the quarter is over. So it does not help you. It helps the students who come after you. Like everything that I have in place right now is due to the feedback that was provided by students who came before you. And everything, the feedback that you provide will be incorporated. We might make some changes going forward. But it, again, does not benefit you in real time. So to that end, what I have is unofficial weekly evaluations. It's a simple Google form, anonymous, exactly the same questions as you would see in the official evaluations. But this is for every single week. Okay, again, this is optional. It's extra credit. And let me bring it up in the assignments. There is a similar form for the lab also. Okay. So I did not talk about this for the lab, but everything that I talked about, the end of the quarter evaluations and the weekly unofficial evaluations, the 2% and 1% extra credit is there for the lab also. Okay. The form is different, meaning just the course number is different. The questions are exactly the same. So all you're doing is you're letting me know which class you're enrolled in, This is 31502. And then which week you are submitting the evaluation for. And then the questions are exactly the same. The rating scale is also exactly the same as the Cal Poly ones. You can submit a comment if you want at the bottom of the page. And it's completely anonymous. You could send this to your buddy sitting in Florida on a beach, and they would be able to submit this too. But don't. I mean, this is for your benefit. This is the place, this is an ombudsman, it's a middle person. You tell this what is working for you and what is not working for you, and I will review it and it will tell me what I need to do to make a course correction in real time, if possible. Right? There are some things that students might not like. Definitely review it, and if I can implement that, I ensure that I will do so in real time. So again, week 1, week 2, all the way through week 9. So 9 submissions times 36 students. I will tally and total everything at the end of the quarter, and I will proportionately divide it out of 200, meaning 2%. Okay. So if I have, let's say, a 50% response rate at the end, 50% of 2 is 1. Every student in the class will receive 1 extra point of extra credit. Sounds good? Right. So there's full 5 points of extra credit that is available to every student in the class. Okay. 2% is in your hands. Out of the other 3%, some of it is in your hands. Most of it is in other students' hands. All right. There are other sections in the syllabus, especially for student support. You have dependents, you have children, you need some additional help while you're a student. Then we have resources for pretty much every single need. Okay, there are two primary links right here, which is 11 and 15. Oh, 11, 12, and 15. Yeah, 11, 12, and 15. So again, these are specialists. These are experts in their own field. Okay, so it is my responsibility to connect my students with these experts. Okay, so if you need any help, please reach out to any of these resources. Okay. All right, I think pretty much covered everything. Let's go to the class notebook. Okay, so we have more than 10 minutes. I'm going to recap the fundamentals. So we have, you have studied circuits, electric circuits so far, right? Circuit analysis, DC and AC. DC is basically direct current, AC is alternating current. Basically, it means if you plot the value of this quantity, whether it's voltage or current or power, as a function of time, then DC has a fixed value, whereas AC, the value is variable. Okay, and then it's shown as a alternating because when it was first generated, it was a sine wave, a generator spinning between the two poles, two magnetic poles, north and south, generated a positive and a negative waveform. So it alternated between a positive peak and a negative peak, hence alternating current. This is time t equal to 0. Time t equal to 0 does not mean the beginning of time. It simply means the time or the point at which we begin our analysis. That's all it means. Okay. Again, these are describing the values of the quantity as a function of time. That's DC and AC. In the early days of electric generation, there was a series of events that not culminated, but came to be known as the War of Current. Okay, War of Current. This was between Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. Edison was an established inventor, and he had established factories where he hired scientists and researchers and engineers working on solutions. Tesla at the time was in Europe. He was a brilliant man. He was a brilliant person. He could do mathematical calculations and visualizations in his head. And one of Edison's managers was in Europe for a conference or something, came across Tesla, read his paper publications, his technology, and he brought him over to the US to work for Edison. Edison at the time had an unsolvable problem that nobody was able to solve, and or so the story goes. And then Tesla, again, brilliant person, took it upon himself to solve it. He found the solution, and when he went to Edison to ask for his money, Apparently, Edison laughed in his face and said, too bad, I was just joking. And he had a bounty on it, so he had a prize money on it. But he said, you're my employee, you're supposed to work for me. Your salary is what I'm paying. You're not going to get any prize money. Anyway, that's the history that we have read, that we are told. And it's not that ancient. It's not like 500, 600 years ago. This is, 100, 120 years ago, late 1800s. And so Tesla left Edison's employment thereafter, and they had a big falling out. And from that point on, Edison did all in his power, everything in his power to denigrate Tesla and his work. By all accounts, Edison was a first-rate jerk, to say the least. Okay. I mean, he's credited being a great inventor. Again, you can read up about the history yourselves and make your own judgments. Anyway, so they had a big falling out. Tesla was, he created a lot of inventions about the electric motor and AC generation. There were hundreds of other researchers working independently all over the world that contributed to the research, right? But it's always the person who markets it that becomes famous for it. And so Tesla was backing AC. Edison was backing DC. Okay, that's the war of the current. So it was very interesting, fascinating to me. There's a movie also that came out a few years ago. If you haven't yet watched it, you might want to check it out sometime. Okay. All right, typical electric circuit looks like this. This is a electric circuit is basically a schematic. It's a mathematical model that permits us or allows us to model and calculate an actual electrical system. Okay. Over the years, in general, when we say electrical system, it's now referred to as an electric circuit or electronic circuit. Okay. But the actual true definition of an electric circuit would be a schematic that describes a system. Okay. It's a mathematical model that describes a system. So you have worked with resistors, capacitors, and inductors, RC and RLC and LC circuits so far. From this point on, we're going to look at electronics, semiconductor devices, okay, which is very different from circuit analysis. The techniques that you learned in circuit analysis will still be useful, right? They'll still be useful for performing analysis. So we can't forget that, okay? But this course is very different from what you have learned so far. I don't have a particularly enlightening talk about this. I just like this meme. You've learned about conductors so far, resistors, inductors, and capacitors. You learn about diodes, transistors, and MOSFETs in this class. Okay. Sources and loads. If you have a circle, it could indicate a source or it could indicate a meter. Okay. A meter would have a circle with an arrow at an angle. We don't see these anymore. We simply indicate plus minus V or an arrow with an I. We don't show a meter specifically, but just in case you come across something like this with an arrow at an angle, it indicates it's a meter. Anyway, a circle would be an example of an independent source. Okay, independent source, it is supplying energy. If it has a plus and a minus sign inside, it's supplying voltage. The arrow, then it's current. However, in real life, a power supply unit is both a voltage source and a current source. You cannot have one without the other. If you take the power supply units that you've used so far in all the labs and you run it in constant voltage mode, it is a voltage source. If you run it in a constant current mode, it's a current source. That's the only difference. These diamonds that you see indicate dependent sources. I'm assuming you have come across this diamond, right? So a dependent source is basically a unit that supplies its rated quantity, but it depends on some other quantity in some other part of the circuit. It has a dependency. We will use this for a transistor model, BJT model, where we saw a dependent current source. We'll also use it for op amps to create models. So it's theoretical. It's a theoretical model. When you perform analysis, we are trying to determine the values of the voltages and currents. So we begin by assigning values arbitrarily. We don't know the polarity of the voltages. We don't know the directions of the currents. So we make assumptions. And those assumptions are based on certain logic and rules. Right? Those assumptions are based on rules. At the end, we verify whether our answers are positive or negative. If it's positive, then our polarity and current direction is correct. If it's negative, all it means is that the polarity is flipped or the current direction is flipped. That's all it means. Current direction and voltage polarities are indicated with a 2 subscript notation. If it's a current, it's an arrow pointing, or if it's just 2 points, A, B, it simply means current is flowing from the first subscript to the second one. The first subscript is the origin, and the second one is the exit. So IAB means current is flowing from A to B. IBA means current is flowing from B to A. Okay. If you're connecting your meter, you would break the circuit and you would connect the positive terminal of the meter towards point A and the negative terminal towards point B. That would give you a positive result, okay, based on the current direction. Needless to say, the magnitude is the same. Mathematically, we simply represent it as minus. That's all. So at the end of your analysis, you obtain a negative value. All it means that it's opposite direction. You have to keep in mind that this minus sign, the negative sign, is for us humans to be able to perform mathematical calculations. Okay, current is never negative. Voltage is never negative. Power is never negative. You would say, I have a 10-watt charger. You would not say, I have a minus 10-watt charger. Even though mathematically, if you connect your cell phone or your tablet to your charger, that charger is supplying energy. Anything that supplies energy would have a negative sign associated with it. So again, it's for mathematical purposes for us humans to calculate the values. Similarly, voltage uses double subscripts. Double subscripts mean VAB. All it means is if you're measuring with a meter, the positive terminal of the multimeter is going to the first subscript, the negative is going to the second one. Okay. So VAB means excuse me, the negative lead is connected to the second subscript because that is the reference point, and the positive terminal is connected to point A. So VAB means voltage measured at A with reference to B. That's all it means. And VBA simply means voltage measured at B with my reference at A. You have like 2 minutes. I'm going to start wrapping this up soon. So this is minus, this is plus. I'm sorry. This is plus, and this is minus. So again, VAB and VBA simply indicating the polarity. The polarity of the voltage is simply indicating which point is higher than the other. Okay. So using my hands, I'm going to show A and B. Okay. So if the surface of this table is ground, meaning this is 0 volts, and I raise my right hand, this is point A at 5 volts. The difference between A and ground is 5 volts. If I raise my left hand to the same level of 5 volts, then voltage at B with reference to ground is 5 volts. If both are at 5 volts, what is the voltage or the difference in electric potential between these 2 points? It's 0. So VAB in this case would be 0. Okay, VAB would be 0. So again, voltage is nothing but the difference in electric potential between 2 points. It's 3 p.m., so if you need to leave, you can leave. I'm just going to record the last couple of slides. Ohm's law, KVL, and KCL. These are the only 3 equations you need to solve any circuit. All analysis techniques are based on these three: Ohm's law, KVL, and KCL. That's it. You don't need anything more. Okay. Ohm's law, of course, refers to voltage as a product of current and resistance. Energy and power, we use the passive sign convention. If you have voltage polarity marked as plus minus and the current direction is going from minus to plus, it means it is entering the negative terminal, meaning it is supplying power, it is supplying energy. So power would be negative. So here, the equation would be P equals minus VI. And here, P equal to VI. A source is always supplying energy. So if you have a voltage source with a plus minus like this, the current direction for a source will always go from minus to plus. Always. Passive sign convention, always supplying energy. Okay, when you're supplying something, you're losing, and hence it's marked with a negative sign. Resistors, capacitors, and inductors, they are receiving energy. So the current direction goes from plus to minus. Always goes from high to low, plus to minus. Okay, so except for a source, current will always flow from plus to minus. And this is where I stopped. This is where I stopped the previous section, and I'm going to do this last slide first thing Friday morning. I mean Friday after. Okay, so we're going to end class here today, and I will see you all on Friday, or maybe I'll see some of you on Friday.